Hello ladies and gentlemen, Panzer here, and welcome back to Total Recon, the show where I take a look at games in early access, or alphas, betas, or any form of development in between. And I'm currently taking a look at this game called Prison Architect. Now I know you're going to be thinking, hang on, haven't I seen this game here before? And well, yes, that's definitely true. This is a game that has been covered on many channels before, and that's because it's one of those few gems currently, unfortunately, in early access that are, well, very much completed in a way. Like, there's definitely still a lot left to go when it comes to this stage of the game, but it definitely has its core very well fleshed out, and the gameplay is definitely quite enjoyable already at this stage. So definitely one of the few early access games that you can definitely say, hey, this could be something that you can pick up and it'll still be fine even if it never gets completed. As you might know, one of the major considerations I make before playing any early access game or covering it on this channel is that I look at a game as it is right now and consider, well, if they stop development at this stage, is it worth it? And Prison Architect is one of those games that definitely does fall into that category. So if you're a sort of person that's very skeptical of early access, this one might change your mind slightly. So, what is Prison Architect? Well, it is a kind of a tycoon game and a management sim that is, well, focused on the building and management of a prison. So, when it comes to prisons, of course, it is a very different sort of thing. This is not your kind of nice setting. This is not a setting that many developers, I suppose, would like to cover, because, after all, incarceration is a very touchy subject in many places. But this kind of puts a little lively aspect to it, and of course the graphic style makes it seem a little bit sort of toned down, in a way. And, it's quite a quirky little game as well. Okay, so what we're doing right now is we're trying to set up, because we have 24 hours before, or rather 21 hours now, before a bunch of prisoners arrive. Now, there's going to be 2 minimum security and 6 normal security prisoners that are coming in. So we do want to make sure that we are as prepared as possible. So, building in this game has several stages. You set the foundations, then you can place objects in the room, and then you can set a room zoning. See, the building system is set around these sorts of zones. So if I want this building that I've built right now to be a... well, it can be anything, actually. If I want it to be a... well, I want it to be an office. So I can just zone it as an office, and there we go. And it will highlight with a tooltip what we actually need to place in there for the building to be functional. Anything that has this little hazard symbol, of course, is not functional yet. So let's put down a chair, a filing cabinet, and let's put down an office desk. That's facing the wrong way, so let's get that there. Of course, it doesn't actually matter yet which way it's facing, but I like to have things looking reasonably nice. So let's get that sorted. Now, we don't have a lot of money available to work with, but we are definitely going to try and do our best with this. Alright, so I do want a window in here. It is an office after all. Let's get a little bit of light going in there. Okay, so we do need to get some utilities built as well. There's a lot of things in this game, I will say. There are a lot of things in it to do, even at this stage. Just sell that. And while they're doing that as well, I'm going to start building the main bulk of the actual prison. So let's get a holding cell in here. I think that should be big enough. And then this here can be our kitchen. And then we can have a canteen over here. So that looks kind of alright. And I do want to get a large cell door going over here. So that will be the main door. And then another one here to separate that. fact, let's actually put some walls down in between those so that that is actually indoors now. And there definitely needs to be a wall there, but we can't build that yet because the foundation is still being built. Okay, so the canteen itself will need some form of access, so let's put that large cell door there. This is going to be a holding cell, so we need that large door there too, and I think we can do with a staff door at the back here for the kitchens. This is going to be our utilities room over here, so we're going to have the back door there. Now, you don't control any of these workers directly, per se. You sort of just put down what you need to do, and they'll schedule their own tasks automatically. So, in that sort of sense, it works a little bit like Banished and much other games like that, where you don't have direct control over units and things in that sense, but they are sort of controlled by the AI, and then they do their own thing as you order them to do so. So that's one room there completed. Let's zone that as a canteen. So this is where the prisoners will be getting their meals. And then we can zone the next one as the kitchen. And then we don't need to zone that one because that is going to be our utilities room. So let's just get a wall down to separate that out. Now, I have noticed a slight problem because these walls actually will block the movement. And let's just put some paving stones down here so that we can have that looking a little bit nicer. Alright, so then we can start putting together the main cell block. So we want that to be... I'm not actually measuring this, by the way. I'm just kind of guessing right now. This can be our shower block. And then we're going to make a yard area over here. So let's get a fence. Let's just put a fence down over here. So that can be a sort of outdoorsy area for all the inmates. I might even put some grass down there, just to make it look a little nicer. And for the safety and protection of everybody else, let's put a perimeter wall up. And I see we might actually not have enough money to complete that job, so that could be a problem. And one of the things that they've done with this game is they have kind of solved that problem a little bit by having what's known as grants. These are government grants, of course, and they work very similarly to kind of quests or missions in a lot of the other Tycoon-type games. And what we have here is a basic detention center, so that's going to give us 20,000 advance payment, and then a further 10,000 when we complete it. And you can see there in the objectives, you need a holding cell, you need a shower, a yard, kitchen, canteen, and 2 guards and 2 cooks. So we're basically on the way there, so we don't need to worry so much about that. So we can actually just make do with that now. Alright, so while they're setting up that, I'm going to put down the door for the main cell block and the door for the shower area. Okay, and then we can zone the holding cell. So, and that might actually be a little bit too small, so we can now go and resize that. How big is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we just need an additional wall here. So let's demolish that wall there, which I didn't actually need to do, so let's cancel that. And let's put another concrete wall over here. That will allow us to extend the holding cell, so that is actually the size that we need. And before I forget to do it, let's put the utilities down. So there is actually a very good system for kind of management. There's a lot of different ways to go about it, and there's a lot of things to actually do. So with this power station here, we can actually extend that a little bit, I think. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, you might be wondering, oh, why aren't they building the thing? Aren't they supposed to do that? And that's true, but the reason that's not happening right now is because they're currently doing a lot of things. So, and we have a limited number of workmen. Now, of course, we can go and hire more, but that's going to start costing us more. So, we might not want to actually do that. But given the amount of time we have, I think a couple more workmen might actually help. So they can go ahead and start doing that. We can also speed up time, and that will work just nicely for us. Now, this is the clock over here, and you might notice, oh, you can actually move it around, and that's one of the nicest things about this game as well, is that the UI is customizable to an extent, so we can actually move that around. We can even resize it if we so choose. So it shows us the time, but also it has our schedule right here. So there is a regime, and we haven't got the guy to go and modify that yet, but it basically states here at a glance what the prisoners are scheduled to do for that period of time. So now is lockup time, because of course it's night, and another time it'll be something like it could be something like eating time or shower time, and so on and so forth. So a lot of things going on with that. Right, so that's the main cell block there. Does look like it's not really done correctly. Just extend it a little further down. And now we can rezone that room to be our holding cell. And that will just adjust it there. So now we meet the minimum size requirement. And of course, having these quests as well, or the grants rather, they do help you along, because you might not, when you first start this game, you might not actually know what you need to start building. Like, a lot of people don't know, like, what is required in a prison, of course. So this definitely helps you out quite a lot by telling you, oh, you need these things. And a basic detention center only really needs a holding cell, but holding cells aren't good for long term, so you want individual cells. So that's something we can definitely look at doing in future. So that area there is done. I'm going to put that zoned as the yard. Where's the yard? There it is, that's the yard. So there we go, that's our outdoor area. And now we're going to zone the shower. Of course that needs shower heads, as you might expect. And this definitely needs some form of wall to separate the two. Just going to put that up there, and I'm going to throw a staff door there too. Now staff doors do not allow inmates to pass through, but they do allow the staff or the work people to go through. So you're going to put a bunch of shower heads on this side. You might even put a drain just at the door so that water doesn't come out. And the canteen does need a few things. So you can see basically it's just a matter of building the rooms that you need and then going ahead and filling them in with stuff. That's really it. So we've got our utilities room there. I'm going to start putting in our our utilities. So we have our power station and we have our water pump. And both of these will help us do various things. So for power, it's relatively simple. Just draw out a cable, and these have sort of a range about them. So we can actually draw that out there and down there. And then for water, these are a little bit different because they have to go through the actual location. So we have to draw that directly to the actual place. I think I'm going to put one there so I can put the toilet down. So there's going to be a toilet there. And a bench. Okay, I want to point out that at this stage of the game there is also a tutorial, and you do play through it at the beginning. It is, I believe, skippable, but you might not want to do that, because it is quite useful at telling you what you need to do. It starts you off with a ready-made prison and asks you to do various things, which teach you all the basic controls and functions. The thing is, it has one of the grimmest stories I've ever seen in a tutorial. But it does kind of highlight what this game is really about, because after all, for its sort of cutesy looking graphic style, it is still a game about prisons. And that kind of makes it a little bit dark. Or at least very dark, in fact. So it does deal with stuff that people might not be too keen on. Alright, so I'm going to dismantle that door. So we do need a wall to fill that in. I'm just going to clear all these logs as well. We can get money back for that, which is quite nice. Okay, so we still need to fill in our kitchen and our canteen. So canteen needs a bench and a table, because of course where else would the inmates eat? And it needs a serving table, which is here somewhere, I believe. I'm not seeing it right now. We do need metal detectors as well, so we can definitely have those. And let's put a bin out here. Okay, so serving table. I don't know why I'm not seeing it. I couldn't tell you. I do not know why. That's very strange. I have no idea why I'm not seeing it right now. Now we have prisoners coming in 2 hours time, so we do want to kind of get stuff sorted out before that. We do have most of the major stuff kind of put in already, but I need to get the kitchen stuff set up, and I don't know where it is, because I'm just not seeing it. But we do need to get 2 cooks, and let's get a warden, and we need 2 guards. So that's there. That's done. And we should have it now. Just don't see it right now. Yeah, I'm not really sure why I'm not seeing it. It's an object that you actually need, but I don't see it at all. I'm sure it's supposed to be here. Yes, so it could be a bug. No, now it's here. Okay. So it didn't appear before, but now it's here. Alright, so there's the serving table. That should be done for the canteen, and now we can have our sink for our cooks. Fridge, which of course we need to keep the food in. Let's put 2 in there, because why not? And a cooker. And prisoners are arriving now. Now, we're playing in a mode that has prisoners arriving every day. Yes, that is our prisoner right there. It doesn't appear to be human in nature. No, I'm kidding. It's over here. It's a prison bus. You do sometimes get them on lorries, and then you see who's in it. And in this case, well, I don't see them. Starting to wonder if our... Oh, I can switch it back on. There we go. Alright, so our power is back on. Let's just make sure our utilities are settled so that... In fact, let's put that outside as well. That's just so that we can have a bit of lighting in the yard. Eventually. Alright, so we do need to now feed all prisoners their meals. So the prisoners are waiting outside. There's a bunch of them. And you can even click on them and they have like interesting little bios. I don't know if the names are randomized or whether or not they are... Yeah. I'm not sure if it's maybe they were the Kickstarter backers or something like that. But either way, they have interesting names and they all have backgrounds as well. So their bio does state what they were sentenced for. So they have quite a lot of them. And of course it shows the amount of time they'll be in here. Now of course time is compressed. So it's not a case of, oh, they will literally be here for 20 years. It's more like 20 years is like an hour or something like that. So it does take a bit of time, but otherwise they're not there that long. Let's put it that way. Now we can just right click to open doors. So we can open and close doors like that. Now in normal mode most doors will just close automatically and then guards can open and close them. Only guards can open cell doors and staff can open all the staff doors and prisoners can open only normal doors. They can't open anything else. And of course you might have noticed now that we have prisoners, before we could actually see inside this building, now we can't. And what's actually happening here is a fog of war. So you can of course turn this off, but what this means is that you can only, as the person in control anyway, you can only see areas that guards can see. So right now if this guard walks all the way out, then we can't see in here anymore. Otherwise we can of course put security cameras down in future and then that will allow us to do that. So I'm just going to start partitioning these cells and then that will be it for the video. So let's just partition that. And there we go. Of course that's going to mean that there's a double wall there, but I think we can extend it a little bit. And that will allow us to have a little bit more space. Now you might be wondering, why did I make them these particular sizes? That is actually the minimum size for a cell. So there is a reason why I put it that way. So it's just 1, 2, 3 down. So that needs to be there. Just extend that to the maximum. Of course, you can start zoning these as cells. Not all of them have power, I've just noticed as well, so that's going to be a little bit tricky. So you can see we just need a bed and a toilet, and that is going to be a cell. It's all good stuff. Now this, of course, may be not the best planned prison, but it'll do for now. And there we go. All of them have beds, and now all of them need toilets. And of course, let's put the toilet like that so they can poop next to their beds. Alright, and that should be the cell area done. So the prisoners can actually go and have, I think this is their meal time at the moment. So apparently this prisoner has been found to have weapons, and these are one of the random things that can happen as well. You can, of course, search a prisoner, search a cell block, search prisoner, search cell. These are options that you can send your guards to do. And this is a prisoner that has been found to have weapons, and he's quite nicely just standing around there and not actually trying to escape or anything. But he has been sentenced to 2 hours in solitary as punishment. So there is a toilet there that actually has something on it, I believe. Or the workman, I'm not too sure. Send somebody to search that toilet, because it did set off the metal detector there. It's a good thing I have that. You can see the depth of this game just goes on more and more as you go along. I guess it was cleared, maybe? Not sure if you found anything. Now, of course, how you actually earn money in this game, of course, is by having more prisoners. The more prisoners you have, the more money the government will give you. So that is kind of how the income system works. You can eventually also get workshops, and you can make items as well, get the prison and, prison labor and things going, and that'll eventually get you some. It'll get you much further along in terms of just sort of income. In fact, I'm not really sure why I have this area down here now. It would be much better to sort of extend it out that way. But anyway, this is just a sort of demonstration of how the actual game is, and I gotta say, it's a very enjoyable kind of sim game. There are moments where it gets tense, where you can have prison riots, you can have breakout attempts, and so on. And those are very interesting situations to kind of deal with. But as somebody who's really kind of liked all these kind of tycoon games, that I keep saying tycoon games, but it's more like a management sim game, that it's actually very enjoyable in the end to have these kinds of things. And there's something very relaxing about this type of game. Granted, it is a very dark setting, but it's not bad for what it is, and it's very well put together. There's definitely a lot of thought that went into the design of it. There are a couple of bugs here and there, mainly with pathfinding and such, but most of it just seems to be a case of there's a lot to do, and it was a very good concept that was very well executed, and of course by an indie developer who clearly enjoys what they're doing, because there's definitely a lot of passion that's been put into this. So as far as early access games go, this is one of those games that is at the very complete stage, and it definitely shows. The amount of polish in this is definitely up there. So one game that, if you're a person who's very skeptical about early access, this is one that you can definitely say, hey, it's more or less complete. Of course, there can be more content added in future, more things to do, maybe more locations and so forth, but overall, I'd say this is a very enjoyable game as it is right now, and as far as early access goes, probably one of the better examples out there.
From the creators of Uplink, Darwinia, and Defcon comes the world's first Lock'em Up.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Panzer taking a look at Prison Architect, developed by Introversion. And it's available on Steam for $29 or your regional equivalent currency. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Panzer, and I'll see you next time.